Many people don't realize that a very specific aspect of your mind affects your success and happiness in every aspect of your life. Imagine two individuals with different mindsets starting their fitness journey, for example, and see which one you identify with more. On one side, we have someone with a fixed mindset. This person believes their abilities are limited, that they're either born fit or not. Setbacks are signs of failure, and they lift as heavy as possible and avoid challenges to protect their ego at all costs. Everything is done to protect the ego. On the other side, we have an individual with a growth mindset. This person sees challenges and setbacks as part of the process and opportunities to learn, grow, and improve. They embrace the process and understand that setbacks are a part of the journey. Their ego isn't attached to their performance or how people see them. Their ego is not attached to how they are today. Their ego is how much they can learn and grow as part of the process. Whereas the fixed mindset person will ask, how can I get a job? Or how can I lose this weight? Instead, the growth mindset person asks, what kind of person do I have to become to get the job? What kind of characteristics do I need to develop in order to lose weight and build muscle? What skills do I need to learn? The former asks for a title. The latter asks for lifestyle and personal development. The former assumes you don't need to change, you just need to complete a list of steps. The latter acknowledges that not only do we need to change, but more importantly, that we can change. Carol Dweck talks about this in her book, Mindset. Because of this difference in approach, the person with the growth mindset is far more likely to stay committed and focused on their fitness goals and to actually achieve them. Because they understand progress isn't always linear, and it's about learning skills and growing and improving over time. Stepping on the scale and seeing the weight go up doesn't mean you're a failure. It's a chance to evaluate the process and see if we need to make any adjustments, or to learn and understand what can contribute to short-term weight fluctuations, be it water retention from extra carbs or sodium, menstrual cycle, undigested foods, etc. That's why I focus just as much, if not more so, on mindset with my clients as I do with practical knowledge. I help them understand why we do everything so they can develop skills and understanding. I help them to anticipate and understand setbacks and know how to respond to them so they can remain resilient in the face of adversity. And while I use health and fitness as an example, this shift in mindset can affect every area of our lives. As Carol Dweck points out in her book, Mindset, it often starts very young, as it did for me. What I consider one of my greatest failures was in high school. I tried out for a pretty prestigious soccer club team, and my delirious goal at the time was to make it as a semi-pro soccer player. The tryouts went pretty well, as we kept it to activities that I experienced with, so friendly games, possessions, scrimmages, stuff like that. And I even scored a few goals. I ended up making the team, but instead of being elated and excited and proud, I was actually terrified. I went to the next few practices and my fear started to materialize. They pulled out complicated drills I'd never seen before and had team chemistry I was only an outside observer to. It became clear they'd been playing since they could walk and knew each other just as long, while I'd only been playing for a few years at a tiny school with an infinitely smaller development program. I felt they were on another level and I didn't belong. I spent more time trying to avoid embarrassment than I did actually learning and growing. Slowly, I faded out of more and more practices as the imposter syndrome and fear of failure continuously ate away at me, and I eventually dropped from the team. While I failed at countless things in life, countless things, horribly and terribly, this will always stand out to me as one of the biggest failures and regrets. I had the opportunity I had been literally begging for and talked myself out of it, all due to a poor perspective and a mindset destined to fail. Dr. K, or Healthy Gamer as he's known on YouTube, talks about gifted kid syndrome and how being considered a gifted kid is oftentimes a death sentence for a person's growth and happiness. Like Carol Dweck, he notices they often get complimented on innate qualities like, you're so smart, or wow, you're such a natural, you're so gifted. I knew hearing those things rubbed me the wrong way back then, but I just didn't have the words to understand exactly why at such a young age. The most prominent one that comes to mind was when I'd started the soccer team in 5th grade as a kid off the bench in the left back position. The position that kind of puts you in when there's nowhere else to put you. Kind of like outfield as a kid in baseball. And to be fair, it made sense to put me there. I was kind of fast and somewhat athletic, having played sports with my brothers growing up. But that was about it. I had no intelligence of the game, no control on the ball, definitely no composure on the ball. So what did I do? Well, I wanted to be a contributing member of the team. I wanted to fit in. I wanted to contribute to our successes. And so I worked my butt off basically every day for years until 8th grade. I definitely contribute a lot of this to our coach, who was a military man. Shout out to Coach Alex, who definitely instilled in us a very hard work ethic and an understanding that, hey, we might not be as talented as the other teams. We're a very tiny school, but we will definitely outwork them. And that was our motto for the season. And we went undefeated that season, actually. And so as a result of his guidance and his inspiration and me seeing the correlation between hard work and the results, I began working out consistently since 5th grade. I remember my parents were concerned that working out would stunt my growth. So I actually stole the family set of dumbbells and hid them under my bed because we had one set of 15-pound dumbbells. And once everyone else went to sleep, I would pull them out and do workouts at night. And those are some of my favorite moments growing up, literally working out at like midnight, 11 p.m. It was awesome. And so as a result, I would do that to work on my physicality, and I would look up YouTube videos on my iPod Touch, I remember, and I'd be doing drills nonstop. I'd stay late for practice. I'd go to every pickup game I could find, and it was all that I enjoyed and looked forward to. I worked my butt off basically every day for years until 8th grade, 7th grade, it finally came to a head, and I was moved up to forward, and I ended up setting records for the number of goals scored at the school. One of my proudest moments was scoring a hat trick 3 games in a row. So 3 separate hat tricks. I was channeling my inner Erling Haaland at the time. But this all goes to say that despite me making that connection of, oh, hard work pays off, my mother would still say things like, Noah, you're just so naturally talented. It's like a gift. She meant it as a compliment, I'm sure. But what I heard was that my hundreds of hours of work to improve meant nothing, and I was just born with it. This is not a bash on my mother at all. And to be fair, I think what she actually meant was that when I play, it looks natural. Like when someone's proficient enough at something that it kind of looks effortless, but I digress. So I had enough of a growth mindset to know that hard work on my own would translate to a better performance in the field, but my ego proved to be extremely fragile. Not only at the soccer club, like I mentioned, but in school and other hobbies. I almost never ask questions in class since, God forbid, I ever admit to needing a slight clarification to fully understand a concept or topic. I focused less on learning and more on getting good grades and actually appearing smart in front of the class instead of actually learning and getting smarter. The one bright side was that this crippling fear of failure was a very powerful motivator, and it did push me to be salutatorian despite missing half my junior year and a third of my senior year due to illness. I developed a kind of abusive relationship with this fragile ego and fear of failure. It drove me to succeed in a few domains, but I was too terrified to step out of those 2 to 3 things I was good at to grow and learn new things. I felt trapped and isolated as the interests and hobbies that I was able to pursue shrank more and more and more as I looked to defend myself and other people's perception of me more and more and more. I wanted to go into personal training for the longest time, but talked myself out of it for years. And I could say now, after spending 5 years in the industry, I know I was more qualified than 90% of the trainers I've encountered now. But it didn't matter. I didn't feel ready, and that meant I could never be ready for it. Because clearly I could never go into something and grow and learn and improve over time. No, I'm either ready or I'm not. It was either an industry that was for me or it was not. I either have the personal characteristics and ability to or not. I'm like the biggest introvert you'll ever meet, but I developed and learned social skills to make the one-on-one training a little bit more palatable and enjoyable for both parties. But at the time, I couldn't even conceive of that notion. So, one mental breakdown and one of the worst depressive episodes of my entire life later, I finally broke down and got certified and hired as a personal trainer. And in that time, I learned more and helped more people than I had in years, and it felt amazing. Imposter syndrome still remained a constant battle, but it was well worth it. That's one thing to remind myself of as well. I need to have a growth mindset for acquiring a growth mindset. I definitely didn't start with one, but I'm worlds further along than when I started, and I'm sure as hell not giving up on it now. With the growth mindset, I was able to let go of fear of failure and focus on the process rather than solely on the end result. It's about acknowledging that I couldn't control everything, like how fast I saw results or how others would think about me, but that I can control my efforts, consistency, and my attitude towards my journey in fitness and in general. So, knowing what I know now, that this was sabotaging every area of my life and having consciously and deliberately moved forward in acquiring a growth mindset, what advice would I give to my previous self in order to help develop one? Well, let's use health and fitness as an example. So number one, it's a learning process, not a goal achieving process. Yes, we want to set a goal to put us in the right direction, but we need to focus on each workout as an opportunity to learn and improve. If you struggle with a particular exercise, don't be discouraged. Instead, see it as a chance to grow stronger and more proficient. You'll never learn just watching videos of people doing exercises forever. You need to actually go in and practice them and develop the skill. Number two, set realistic fitness goals. So break down the larger fitness goals into smaller, more achievable milestones. Celebrate progress along the way and use setbacks as learning experiences, not a reason to give up. So for me, it was actually putting on weight that I struggled with because I was a tiny, skinny kid. I always wanted to build muscle. So instead of focusing on, every single day being like, I'm not at the goal that I want, focusing on, okay, well, I'm stronger than I was last week, stronger than I was last month. I'm getting better at feeling bench press in my chest versus my shoulders, which was a big struggle of mine, but that's something I never would have known without actually having done bench press, right? So use those as opportunities to grow and learn. And all those setbacks and all those things I learned have helped me to improve the quality of life for clients. And all those obstacles I encountered allowed me to actually grow and improve over time. They weren't signs of my failure. They were obstacles that everyone runs into. And so now, having run into those things like mind muscle connection for the chest or for the back, which tends to be difficult, or how to push through a set or a workout when you don't want to, or how to make changes to your diet to improve your protein intake, all stuff I've struggled with, I can now relate to clients and help them improve. So what previously could have been seen as frustrating setbacks are actually the knowledge and skills that help me in my career now. 3, surround yourself with positive influences. Seek out a supportive fitness community, be it at the gym or among friends and family or among an online community or someone that you see on YouTube or Instagram. Surrounding yourself with like-minded people with similar goals will A, help you know that you're not alone, B, you can brainstorm solutions to your problems together, and C, motivate you and encourage you when times get tough. Number 4, the end goal is what gives you direction. It is not what provides the journey with value. The skills and development along the way is what provides the value. The end result is just the result of the development. You cannot skip the development in these skills to get to the end result. Number 5, small one, but replace the word can't with can't yet or not yet. So for instance, I'm really terrible at YouTube and social media and posting videos and writing for now. I can't do it proficiently yet. I'm learning and growing, and that little shift in your language will make a very big difference. They've even shown this for certain schools. They adopted the growth mindset wholeheartedly, and instead of saying that someone failed, they said they did not grasp the material yet. And it actually affected the grades of the kids who had to retake those classes that they failed. The ones that said not yet versus you failed actually saw much better improvement in the grades and overall performance. Number 6, this is actually a big one. Compare yourself to where you started, not to where you want to get. So let's say you want to lose, 60 pounds, right? If every single day you say, oh, well, I'm not at my goal yet, even though you lost 5, 10, 15, 20 pounds, that is every single day saying to yourself, oh, I'm a failure. Oh, I'm not there yet. Oh, I'm terrible. Oh, I'm not at my goal yet. Instead, if you just flip it around and say, oh, I started at 200 pounds, even though my goal is 140 pounds, I'm now 195. I'm now 190. I'm now 185. And these same data could be encouraging to one person and discouraging to another. So compare yourself to where you started to measure progress instead of comparing yourself to where you're going to measure the deficit and the distance you still need to cover. This also makes it a lot easier to celebrate progress and reinforce your effort in the new skills you're learning versus always focusing on what you have yet to learn or to achieve. All right, number 7, change your self-talk. So pay attention to your inner dialogue and replace negative, self-limiting thoughts with positive and empowering statements. Change those fixed mindset ideas to growth mindset ideas. Catch them, keep an eye out, and notice when they're happening. Another one that I love hearing, shout out to Jordan Peterson, is treat yourself like you're a friend who you care about and genuinely want the best for. A lot of my clients, they'll go on a binge or they'll go to a party and go over calories, let's say 1,000. Nothing too crazy. Now, it's not fun, but nothing insane. And they'll beat themselves up, they'll yell at themselves, they'll come in depressed and berated. And I'm like, okay, if your friend had a similar thing happen, what would you say to them? And typically it's much nicer, like, oh, it's fine, like this is a setback, you did good the other 6 days out of the week. You're not going to put on 10 pounds from this, right? This is a learning experience. How can we go to the party and know what to do next? But when they talk to themselves, it's, oh, you're the worst, you're a failure, you might as well give up. Notice the difference in the way you talk to those two people and realize, why should you treat yourself any differently than you treat someone else? Self-compassion is extremely important. All right, number 8, ask for help. A coach is a shortcut to take out a lot of the guesswork for you, to hold you accountable, to save you a ton of time, and to notice and call out your limiting beliefs and that negative self-talk. And so a lot of people who say, oh, I could learn all this stuff for free, or I could do this for free, it's kind of like the difference between ordering a calculus textbook and taking a calculus course. Yes, you might be able to learn it both ways, but one, that calculus textbook is probably going to sit on a shelf for years before you actually finally dive into it. 2, no one's going to be holding your hand and walking you through the whole process to see whether or not you finish it. And 3, there might be a question and one problem you run into that will halt your progress for weeks or months. And if you just had a teacher in class that you could ask a question to, that'll save you so much time. And they can also anticipate those problems that you run into since they have so much experience teaching so many people. So it's a way to shortcut the process, to achieve better results more quickly, to also, you'll notice in the classroom, there's a community of other people learning too, right? And so you're hitting many of those bullet points all at once by hiring a coach. So feel free to comment or DM me if you're looking for any help or general guidelines. And so the reason I use health and fitness as the example is that it's a perfect way to cultivate a growth mindset, because increased quality and quantity of life is a universally cherished goal. So it's a worthwhile endeavor. And the return of investment from achieving that goal permeates every area of your life. You'll look better, feel better, move better, feel more confident. As you build muscle, it makes it easier to lose weight or maintain a healthy weight. You reduce stress and anxiety. You'll have increased energy levels. Even clients that I have who work desk jobs notice that it's easier to focus and get through the day. You'll have improved cognitive function, so reduction in brain fog. You'll learn faster with improved neuroplasticity. Check out the Andrew Huberman podcast if you want to hear more about that. You'll have improved sleep, which is important for all areas of our life. You'll develop mental toughness like resilience, delayed gratification, that growth mindset that we talked about this whole time. You'll live longer with a higher quality of life. You'll have a reduced rate of weight-related illnesses, for example, or reduction in osteoporosis, etc. Basically, you'll live longer and enjoy your life more. What better thing would there be to pursue? So you can very easily see how universally beneficial these are for your life in general. And so think of it as pursuing a universally beneficial skill, maintaining health and wellness, to learn another universally beneficial skill along the way, growth mindset. Now you may be saying, okay, hold on, this is a mindset shift. That is a characteristic. That's not something you can really change. Or even if you can, I wouldn't consider it a skill. But for me, the more I think about it, the more everything turns into a skill, the more I look to define and understand it. A skill is something you can learn and grow and develop in, right? So let's say a good pitch in baseball. You can practice to develop it over time to get better and better and better at pitching. You can pitch faster. You can learn more types of pitches, curveballs, sliders, knuckleballs. And so in the same way, as I've experienced and the data objectively shows, you can develop a growth mindset. You can learn how to talk to yourself better. You can learn how to have self-compassion. You can learn how to frame a new venture as an opportunity to learn and grow instead of a sign of whether something's a fit for you or whether you're naturally gifted or not at it. And so that's why I consider it and talk about it as a skill rather than a characteristic. And that's the paradigm I'm trying to build and articulate to get people to understand. Pursuing health and fitness is a perfect microcosm that'll teach you the skills you need to be successful in every area of your life. And it's why I believe the physiological and psychological approach that I look to teach as the optimal way to restructure and improve your entire life the fastest. Dan Coe, one of my heroes, does it through business. I intend to do it through fitness. So this is pretty much the beginning to my overall series. This might take me months or a year to do, but my entire paradigm of health and fitness and the way it teaches you skills that you can develop that'll affect every area of your life. So if you want a way to A, pursue health and fitness and improve in that aspect, and B, do it in such a way that you understand the skills you're developing and how it improve everything that you're doing in life, stay tuned for more. Feel free to do the YouTube stuff. That helps out a ton. And comment below with any other questions, comments, concerns you got. I'm happy to help with anything and everything you can. Thank you so much for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.